Why is this meeting so important? Why is it so urgent? And what do you expect to come out of it?
Well, there hasn't been any progress at all of a noticeable kind since the breakdown following the referendums in 2004, and that's 6 years, despite the best efforts of the Secretary-General of the UN and his very talented special representative. So the rising feeling of frustration and irritation amongst many of the international players is not too surprising. Moreover, this is a colossal failure over 35 years of the international community and the two parts of Cyprus to resolve a problem which, with a bit of compromise, could be resolved. Instead of which, not one piece of territory has been adjusted to the benefit of the Greek Cypriots, although it was clear in 2004 that the Turkish Cypriots were prepared to give up a substantial part of the island that they occupy. Not one Greek Cypriot has gone back to the north, to their property there. The country remains divided down the middle, and both sides feel insecure because they feel threatened by the other side. It's not a very big success for either Turkish Cypriots, Greek Cypriots, or the international community.
Andreas, Lord Hannay, you have called the Annan Plan, which is of course named after the former Secretary General of the UN, Kofi Annan, as the best possible basis for a settlement, a bizonal, bicommunal federation. But I'm looking at some other figures here. In that referendum, 76% of Greek Cypriots rejected the plan, while 65% of Turkish Cypriots accepted it. So the divisions run very, very deep here. Are you hearing any common ground here?
No, I haven't heard any common ground at all in this discussion. And I've heard a total unwillingness on the Greek Cypriot side to recognize that the key card that needs to be played is Turkey's accession to the EU. It's Turkish accession to the EU which will compel the Turkish government and the Turkish Cypriots, who also want to be in the EU, to come to a settlement. But who is blocking Turkish accession to the EU? The government of Cyprus. The government of Cyprus is acting as a stalking horse for countries like France and Germany, which are not very keen on Turkey joining the EU, and they are therefore acting contrary to their best interest and contrary to any hope of getting a Cyprus settlement. Frankly, if Turkey remains blocked from entering the EU, and I don't know how many chapters are currently blocked by the Cypriots, if they remain in that state, then there will not be a settlement. If, on the other hand, the negotiations for Turkey's accession move ahead in a really substantial way, there will be a settlement, because Turkey knows perfectly well that it cannot join the European Union without a settlement in Cyprus. So I think it's time for a little bit of new thinking on the part of the Greek Cypriots, and instead of blocking it, and instead of blocking trade between the north of Cyprus and the rest of the European Union, in this great mass of objections that get raised, which are actually making it less likely, not more likely, that the solution will be reached.
Okay, let's go to one of our callers. The Kofi Annan plan that I mentioned earlier on, is that effectively partition?
No, it certainly wasn't partition. It was a plan to give effect to the only document that the two sides ever agreed to in the high-level agreements of 1977 and 78, when they agreed that Cyprus should be reconstructed on the basis of a bizonal, bicommunal federation. Previously, it had been a unitary state with special provisions for the Turkish minority. But they agreed, Archbishop Makarios and Mr. Denktash agreed, that there should be a bizonal, bicommunal federation. And the Annan Plan was a comprehensive plan to give effect to that agreement. Now, it was rejected by the Greek Cypriots, it was accepted by the Turkish Cypriots. Clearly, there's no point in going back in a historical analysis as to who was right and who was wrong. And clearly, the Annan Plan in its precise form is not going to be the settlement that could be reached by the two sides. But I do think that the best way to proceed is by adjusting particular parts of that plan which were unacceptable to one or the other side, and trying to find some compromises which would enable that bizonal, bicommunal federation to come into being.
Okay, Ahmed Sözen, do you think